You're welcome to the Naija Filmmaker, a podcast about Nigerian filmmakers, their films, and how we can build a diverse and functional industry. I'm your host, Selegot.
On this episode, my guest is Jemima Damina. She's the director, producer, and co-founder of Neptune3 Studios. We talk about how she started the studio with her sisters, creating the hit young adult show Best Friends in the World, and about how she has evolved over the years. If you're a new listener, you're welcome, and I hope you enjoy. So, hi Jemima, you're welcome to the Naija Filmmaker.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
Okay, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Jemima Damina. I'm a producer, director, and a filmmaker. I'm also the co-founder of Neptune3 Studios and part of the Triple J Plus.
Okay. So yeah, how did you get started? Like, I guess the band came first, Triple J Plus.
Yes, it was Triple J Plus first. We started about 12 years ago. We were just doing music then. And we took a break to go to school, to go to university. We all went, or both of us, Jesse and I, went to Full Sail University in Florida. Yeah. So we got our bachelor's and master's respectively. And then we came back to Nigeria and started making films, basically. So what we did with Triple J Plus as well was make music for Neptune3 Studios, which is what we've been doing. But we're considering going back to making music for Triple J Plus, hopefully this year.
When you're in the band, like, were you guys playing any instruments? Or are you making the beats for your music?
No. We just, Jesse does the writing, and then we just go into the studio. We have a producer who works with us, and just make the songs. Yeah.
Okay. And I see that you studied film at university.
Yes.
At what point, were you sold on the idea that you wanted to do film?
Okay, so from when when I knew myself, basically, my parents introduced us to entertainment at an early age. Yeah. Just because that time we used to watch Disney Channel and Nickelodeon cartoon. And I realized then that there wasn't any Nigerian version of those kind of shows. Yeah. It used to just be the family shows like Papa Jasco and stuff that used to show on TV, and then more matured shows. But there wasn't really anything our age that was from Nigeria or of Nigerian origin. So I think that's what kind of piqued my interest. And I used to kind of make home videos and then edit them and do a premiere with everyone and just kind of show them what I had done. And then I think my parents picked up on that and saw that I had a flair for film, and they encouraged me to actually study that as a professional, as a career. And that's basically how it started. And then I went to India. I did a short course in editing. And it was while I was there, I discovered Full Sail University. So I went there, did my bachelor's and my master's, and then I came back. Yeah, so that was basically how it started.
Okay. When you got back to Nigeria, how was it?
Yeah, it was interesting. I remember I got back, and there wasn't anything available actually. I remember I wrote a few emails to a few studios and a few directors at that time as well, but I never heard back from any of them. And that was kind of discouraging a bit. And so while I was waiting, because that time I was working for my dad, while I was waiting, I remember complaining to my mom about not receiving anything. Because that time I knew Lagos was the place where everything entertainment happened. And, So she said, instead of feeling discouraged, you went to a school that literally teaches you from beginning to the end how to make a film, produce it, basically publish it as well. Why not do something for yourself? And it struck me, and I was like, yeah, I can do that, And so we got together. My sister wrote a script, which was a short film, and we just looked up a free website where we can post them, and that's how we discovered YouTube. And so once that was done, with a few close friends and a little help here and there, we put it up on YouTube, and the rest is history.
you started Neptune3 Studios. Where do you get the name from?
Well, I remember we were discussing, well, my sister and I were discussing with my mom, and we just kind of trying to see possible names, because I remember telling them that I wanted to open a filmmaking company where I would be making my films. And my sister was like, oh yeah, and I could be writing for the company as well. And we're like, yeah, that's a great idea. So what name can we use? And then I remember saying that all I know is that the projects I want to make, I want them to be out of this world. So it's like, how about a name that's like not like a planet, that's not on Earth? And that's how we started like talking about planets. And then that's how we came up with Neptune, because we're like, oh, it's a really big planet. It's bigger than Earth.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of like that. And then we're like, oh, there's three of us, me, John, and Jesse. So that's the Neptune3. And then studios. And we're like, oh my God, that's a great idea. And that's how Neptune3 Studios was born. And
Okay. And how has it been, working with your sisters?
It's actually been great. I mean, it doesn't come without its problems and arguments and everything, but I don't think there's anybody I would have done so well working with. Like when I think about it, I feel like my sisters are we're all very similar in thinking and with our ideas. So it has been really easy to work together, because you'll say one thing and everybody just gets it immediately. And then most times I don't even have any discord or any disagreements. It's more or less like it's easily resolved, because I mean, there will always be bound to be issues, but we resolve them really quick because we all have the same goal in mind.
Okay. So your web series, Best Friends in the World, you are primarily the producer, director.
Yeah.
How was that? Because you guys started this in Uyo. Was there an existing industry? Were there a lot of actors, young actors to work with? Like how did you navigate that first season, trying to make the film?
So basically when we started, we didn't know any actors. So we put up like an audition, for actors' age, the age range. And we had a few people respond. So we did rehearsals, a few rehearsals, and on the day of shoots, a few of them bailed. The main actor who was supposed to play Olive, she didn't show up. Her understudy didn't show up either. And I remember we just sat there wondering what we were going to do, because it's like everybody else was there. We had hired, all the equipment we needed, and we didn't have a main character. So while we're sitting there and just, thinking about what to do, I called my mom and I told her what was going on. And she said, oh, well, Jara is there. Doesn't Jara know the lines? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. She does know the lines, because she was helping the actors rehearse and learn the lines. So I guess she kind of picked the lines up as well, so she knew them. And so we're like, yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, Jara, could you help us, bail us out this time and be Olive? And she was like, okay, yes. And so that's how that worked. It's kind of hard finding good actors within that age range in Europe, because it was not really entertainment heavy.
Yeah.
So you basically use people who were willing at that time to, show up and help us. And that's how New Girl came up. So we shot that, and then that blew up, and people were requesting for New Girl to become a series. And so I don't really think we ever really sat to think about the impact of making series, or how that would be for us as a small startup studio.
Yeah.
We're just excited that people were responding positively. And we're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Let's make a series. And then Best Friends in the World came. And that's how New Girl turned into Best Friends in the World. And we had the 24 episodes. And I think it was when we got to like the 15th episode, we realized what we had gotten ourselves into, because it seemed like it had become bigger than we had anticipated in every way.
Yeah.
Cast-wise, audience-wise, reach-wise, basically in every area. So we just, it was not going faster than we had planned, and it was just so heavy. And we had to like navigate real quick. We had to be spontaneous in fixing like troubleshooting. We had to like think fast whenever there was an issue or anything like that. But yeah, the response is actually what kept us throughout that first season, like the love and the positive feedback we got from people. And as much as I know the acting wasn't great at all, but like it was just that love. And until now, we just keep wondering why it did so well and like why people love it so much. And I feel like it might just be because it's very authentic, it's very real, you know, in a sense, and it's very, very relatable. So I feel like that's why it did so well and people really loved it. So, but yeah, we're hoping, you know, going forward, it is it is teenagers we're hoping to work with. It's to reach teenagers, basically create content for people within that age gap where they're easily overlooked. Because nowadays, like most of the films in cinemas and you know, it's always like adult relationships. It's always like about marriage, dating, you know, basically adult situations. There's nothing that has really addressed the teenage sector, and I feel like that's something we picked up and we're hoping to do for the next few years. Just create content for that age range, because I know there are some really good actors within that age range. And basically introduce new faces as well, because that's something that's really our goal, is to bring up new talents and new faces, you know, so it's like shining lights on the fact that even though we're young, we can do what the adults are doing basically, or even better. So that's kind of like the whole thing with Neptune3.
Okay, so like you know, when you made the short film, did you guys just post it on YouTube? Like how did you get, you know, people to watch it? Like what other things did you do to build that audience?
So YouTube was just a free platform that we knew, and you could put up your content for people to watch. And that's basically what we did. We created the channel, put it up on YouTube, and we just started like sharing it on Facebook. And I guess the actors on the show also put it up on their own Facebook. I know it was really Facebook we were using that time. So we would be reposting the link, you know, talking about it. We'll take like snapshots of the film and put it up on Facebook and say, you know, you guys go watch. And I know that that's just how it just went, because I knew it was like a week after and we saw like 1,000 views and we're like, what's going on? How is it? I mean, I know we were watching it a lot, but like, how is it going so fast? And then the next week we saw 10,000 and it was literally skipping like that in tens and tens and tens till I remember seeing 100,000 views and freaking out because I didn't expect it to go that far. I didn't expect it to even the 10,000 we saw was like, okay, if we have this 10,000, we're good. Like, even if this is where it stops, we're okay. And to see 100,000, 200, 500, 1 million, like, it just blew way beyond, like, till now I can't even explain how it happened or, you know, but I just know we're grateful because I know ever since then, every episode has been a hit. Like, I don't think there's anyone that they would usually just pick up within the next 24 hours as soon as we put it out. Yeah. They'll just go like that. And honestly, we didn't even know there was anything like ads or any of those sponsored things that you do on YouTube. Even till now, we don't even use any of those resources. We literally just upload it on YouTube, post it on Facebook and Instagram, and that's it. Like, we just let the fans do their thing, basically. But yeah, that's just how it worked.
Yeah, and 4 or 5 years after I started, you guys have more than 1.2 million subscribers and more than 175 million views. How do you feel like looking at those numbers? Is there pressure?
To be honest, I don't think it has really dawned on me, just because I've been head deep, just working and working. Putting out episodes, because after shooting it, I have to edit it, upload it, you know, put it out there, and then while that's premiering, I'm already working on the next episode. So I don't think I've ever really had time to sit and kind of just assimilate and understand what we've done for the past 4 years. Just because I feel like we've been on super fast, like you know, super speed, like just going. And I feel like it's even this year we're kind of like settling in to just see like, oh my God, you guys, this is what we've done. Like, do you know what we've done? You know, it's kind of dawning on me like, oh my God, this is what we've done. This is how far we've gone. And, you know, it's just like, wow, it's just crazy.
Okay. And, you know, for your audience, like, where are the top like 5 locations where people watch your web series from?
Oh, I think it's Nigeria. Last I checked, it was Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, the United States, and the United Kingdom. I think that's where we get like our 5. Those are like our 5 top countries. Yeah.
You guys, because of your subscriber count and all that, like you guys got a special platform, YouTube.
Oh yeah. The buttons, yes. The buttons, yes. So or when we hit 100,000, we got the silver button, and then when we hit 1 million, we got the gold button as well. Yeah. So we've had 2 buttons from YouTube so far.
Okay. So like so far from what you guys have been able to do at Neptune3 Studios, like has it had the knock-on effect on your careers? Like are you getting more attention, more sponsorship, that kind of stuff?
When we were doing production and releasing, we didn't really have the opportunity to really put ourselves out there in a sense of sponsorship and just letting people know that, because I know when I came to Lagos last year, towards the end of the year, I remember meeting a few people in the industry, and they were kind of surprised that we're actually in Nigeria. That Best Friends was done in Nigeria, and we were Nigerians. But for the life of me, I don't know why, but a lot of people think we're in Kenya or like South Africans or like basically from other African countries. And it just made me realize that, and I remember someone saying that that's why people probably haven't offered us stuff, because they don't know we're within Nigeria. And because basically we haven't even done any, promo or even put ourselves out there to say, okay, or meetings and stuff. But that's something we're looking into this year, just kind of like, going around and saying, okay, this is what we have, this is what we've done. But most times when people meet us and they realize, we're the ones doing Best Friends in the World, that's when it's like, oh my God, you guys are great, and you guys are actually Nigerians, that's like. So I think I've kind of like gotten used to the shock from people that, we're actually in Nigeria. And so we're working on actually getting sponsorships for like other stuff that we're doing, or even putting Best Friends on other platforms apart from YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that when I started watching Best Friends, like, because of the uniform in the series, I thought maybe you guys were in Ghana or something. But I eventually caught up with the fact that, you guys were in Akwa Ibom. Yeah. All right. So, like, as a young lady, trying to make her way in the film industry, what are some of those challenges that you've kind of had to deal with?
Honestly, I would say establishing my authority, to be honest. I remember when we were doing senior year, when we started senior year, and I tried to get a bigger crew just to kind of reduce the workload that we had, because I knew that senior year was bigger than season 1, and I wanted to just kind of like take some pressure off myself, just so I could focus more on the directing. And I remember I had a few other crew members, and a cinematographer here and there, and lighting guy and stuff like that. And I remember a situation where we were on set, and I was there, and I gave like an instruction, but the new crew I hired did not respond. And I was, at first I thought they did not hear me, but then the cinematographer guy who I hired then said, oh yes, all right, let's do this, let's get to work and stuff. And they responded. And I realized that whole day they kept speaking to him with disrespect, like the respect of like, okay, this is the cinematographer, but like when it came to me, they wouldn't even like answer and stuff like that. And I had to fire all of them, because I'm like, if you do not understand that I am your boss in this setting, and if you cannot deal with having a woman as your boss, then I don't think this is the right production for you, that kind of thing. So it kind of hurts that this is not like we're starting out. This is something I have done I had done 24 times, and to still have to prove myself to people that, okay, I know what I'm doing, basically. This show is already a success, and it's like, even with that, it was hard to kind of establish like that, that's, look, I know what I'm doing and I'm in charge. And so I found that I had to always re-establish myself as, look, I'm the one in charge here. And I realized that because when it's like guys, they don't have to do that. Like once they just say, "Okay, directors here," everyone shakes and it's like, "Oh yeah, the respect is there." But once they see a lady, they just feel, "Oh yeah, it's a woman. You can just do her and her and stuff like that." So yeah, over time, it kind of got better. But then it's like at the same time, it's like it's kind of upsetting having to prove yourself over and over and over. That you do know what you're doing, and it's not like a one-time hit wonder, like one-time success thing. Like it's something you've done over and over and over. But like I feel like that's the most challenging thing that's happening still, because it still happens. But that's the most challenging thing that's happened for me in this field since I became a director. But yeah, apart from that, honestly, the other things would not even be anything regarding myself in terms of like funding and like people basically be able to get sponsorships and stuff. But directly, the thing that has affected me is establishing that professionalism where it's like, look, I know what I'm doing, and then. But yeah, it's something I battle with and I'm kind of like finding better ways to handle it as well.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, you're the eldest of three sisters. For you, when you started this, like, and considering where you've reached now at this stage of your career, like, did you struggle with being a leader or taking control of the production and making things progress according to plan? How much have you changed in that period of time?
Between when we started and now, I have changed a lot. I've grown, matured, I've learned a lot of lessons. In regards to being the leader and being the firstborn, the way I have a relationship with my sisters is we just have this bond, and where it's like, you don't have to always like, we're basically sisters and friends at this point.
Yeah.
So it's just been like very, I want to say, just together in the sense of, oh, you guys, what do you think? We're always sharing opinions, we respect each other's opinions and stuff like that. But when I started directing, or when we started Best Friends, I realized that I couldn't treat the actors and the people on set the way I treat my sisters, because they're not. I had to like learn that these people are not your family. We're just here to work, and this is a professional setting, Because I did find myself a couple of times deferring and giving them the kind of treatment I give my younger sisters, in the sense of like, okay, these are my juniors, and we treat them like my younger siblings. But then I found that that's when a lot of the disrespect really showed up. And then I realized that I had to put that side of myself. I had to learn how to separate my personal life from the professional, in the sense that when I'm on set, we're on set, let's be professional. We do the work we came here to do and we leave. And then when we get off set, it's not like, oh, hey, sisters and stuff like that. Even with Jaro, even when it came to directing her, I couldn't treat her like, oh, this is my younger sister, I had to be firm. The same way I handle the other actors. And if anything, I feel like I can handle her strongly, or stronger than I did the other actors, because I was like, had this, I would tell her, I'm expecting this perfection from you, because, it's you're the main, you're the lead and stuff. And the sisterhood part never came to play. But I realized that my personality also had an upgrade, in the sense that I'm a very calm and, quiet person. I don't really like to shout or yell. If I'm upset, I don't really go off on people. I'll just stay quiet, and then when the anger is going on, I'll speak. But it's something I realized during production, that I cannot be like that, because when you're on set and you're the director, you have to know you have to say what you want. And so it's just a few things that I had to learn really quick in the time of being like directing and working with other people, and also learning how to differentiate between sets, family, and your actual family, and just knowing, like, basically creating boundaries. That's something I really learned during the time during when we were shooting Best Friends, because that was the first, like, let's say, professional set I'd been on where I was in charge. I have been on other professional sets before, but I was just like one of the crew members. But this one, now it's like your production, you're in charge. Everything that happens is on you. Something that I really had to mature really quickly and learn how to handle this kind of situations.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much started with your own productions. When you ended up going on other people's sets, like, how different was the way things were run? Was there much difference?
Okay, yeah. When I graduated from college, because the way my school works, so once you graduate, they give you like a 1 year opportunity to work on other, like, sets, productions. So you kind of know whether you want to be a director, producer, a writing guy, a gaffer, basically art direction. You kind of know what department you want to do. So I was privileged to work on the set of Ride Along Part 2, the Kevin Hart's Ice Cube film. Yeah. And yes, I worked with the BTS department. And of course, that's like a really huge production, and everything was professional, and we had everyone, security, and everything was just way, way bigger. And this was even before Best Friends in the World. Yeah. So when I started Best Friends, I came with that mindset of like, okay, professional production, this is how things are supposed to be and stuff. But then I realized that it cannot really be exactly like that, because that's the US, this is Nigeria. And there are certain things that will not work here the way they will work in the US. There are certain things that they do there that don't fly here, and you have to find like a modified version of that to, have that done here. But I did try to make my set as professional as possible. I did try to not waste time, not waste resources and stuff like that. So there's things I learned from there that I was able to apply here, but there was so much lacking on this mindset that I felt like, okay, obviously if I had a bigger budget and stuff like that, then it wouldn't be like this. So I knew it wasn't like from a thing of where it's like a poor management, more or less like lack of funds. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's more or less like, I feel like when our sets are bigger, when we have like bigger sponsorship, when we have like bigger productions, that's when I'll probably be able to tell exactly what the difference is in terms of, okay, now you have the access to all these funds, you have the budgets, you have everything you want. Can you recreate that same? Because for me, I feel like that set was flawless. I mean, it did have its problems, but the way things were handled was the actors were comfortable, the crew members were happy. And I feel like that's what makes it a great film, when everyone is at their best and, doing their best, giving their best. So as much as, like, in Nigeria, we have our issues, we have our problems, there's ways we can make things comfortable for our crew members, for our actors, and then kind of see if that really plays a part in making the film's actually better, in a sense. Yeah. So, but yeah, this is like a very huge comparison, because Best Friends was literally like just a small thing we did, and then there's Ride Along, which is like a multi-million-dollar production. So, but the differences were clear, of course, but I'll be able to better tell once we start doing bigger productions.
Okay. And working with your sister Jaya, especially like directing her, like, do you guys have a shorthand? Do you guys understand? Does she understand what you want from her, or you guys tend to, like, break down the scripts and go through what you need from her?
Yeah, working with her actually was really great, really easy for me as well, because, like I said, we grew up together, so it was kind of like, I'll say something and she just understands what I'm talking about, because some of the references I'll use, we know, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. So like in a scene, I'll tell her the emotion I want for this scene, or the comedy that's going on here is like in, example, like in Hannah Montana, where Miley did this, or where Jackson did this. I'll give her like a reference and she'll just get it exactly like what I'm talking about. And that made it a lot easier, because once she pictured that, she was able to just interpret it and give me what I was looking for. Whereas, like, it was kind of hard sometimes to explain or express what I wanted. At some point, I would even have to act it and then say, "Do you get what I mean?" Like act what they're supposed to, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, great, yes." Yeah. So, but with trial, it was a lot easier because I just say, this is what I want, and then like during rehearsals, once I just correct one or two, it's fine. Like there wasn't really any friction or any issues communicating with her and just giving her. And she's a very smart kid. Like she's very smart. She knows she's she's watched a lot of films and stuff like that. So even her own personal library of expressions, emotions, and stuff like that is very wide.
Yeah.
So it was really easy to just tell her, okay, this is the emotion I want, and this is how I want you to do this part, and she'll just do it. And it was perfect.
Okay. So you talking about like what other like movies or TV shows you like watching? What are some of those?
Um, I watch a lot of K-dramas. I watch a lot of American films. I don't really watch American series. I don't know why. Not like it's like a preference thing or anything, but I do watch a lot of K-dramas and a lot of American films. In regards to the K-dramas, I've seen almost everyone there is. And then American films, I love action, comedy, romance, musical everything. I do not watch horror films. Cannot get why people would want to be scared every time. But yeah, I'm a movie head. I don't think there's any film I haven't seen except like those ones where it's like really stylized in the sense of it's a special kind of film like you have to watch or understand. Like there's some backstory to it, but I basically watch anything that's within those genres.
Okay. For your future as a director, like are there other genres that you're kind of looking forward to directing stuff in?
Yeah, I as much as I said I don't watch horror films, I have been planning on working on one. I do want to work on one, like a Nigerian version of it. That's something I'm looking forward to doing, just one. And then I'm also looking forward to doing action films. That's like way, way later in our way later in our career, like in our journey. But basically what I want to do is do work on the dramas and the romantic films and basically just tell good stories that last for a very long time, that no matter the generation that comes and watches it, they'll still have a great time. I just want to make feel good films that people can enjoy and always talk about, that leaves an impression in your mind. Good, happy, just makes you feel good. And that's basically my general goal. It's just to do that. But in terms of genre, something I would like to try is like a horror or action film. That'll be later on.
Okay, yeah. Can you mention 3 random facts about yourself that not many people know?
I'm just very sweet. I'm a very sweet person, actually, because I have heard people say I look mean, but I'm actually a really nice person. That's one, and two, I love pineapples. No, that's very random, but I love pineapples, and third one. Oh, I love booking travel vacations. I love booking like trips with people, like booking flights, hotels, planning travel packages. That's something I love doing.
Yeah.
I'm even considering making it a career as well. But that's something I really have a passion for as well, like vacations, stuff like that. So basically, like a travel agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And then I'm actually my family's travel agent. So yeah, random facts 3.
Okay, and what location is next on your bucket list?
To travel?
Yeah.
I've been looking at, I want to go to Monaco. It has always, like, it's somewhere, for as long as I can remember, it's somewhere I would love to go. If not for my birthday, at some point in my life, I want to go there.
Okay. So with the stories you tell at Neptune3 Studios, you primarily make it for young adults, teenagers.
Yeah.
Are there kind of key lessons or key things you always try to embed in your stories?
Yes, like I said, my goal is to make wholesome films where people of all ages can enjoy. Wholesome in the sense that it addresses common issues. I know, like sometimes in movies, they'll present an issue where the actor has to go through like something and comes out at the end, and sometimes the way it's handled, the way it's presented, sometimes it's not very realistic. Sometimes not everyone can do that, and it comes out that way. But something we try to do is make it as realistic as possible. That okay, what are the possible outcomes or the most possible outcomes of this happening and you coming out on the other side unscathed, or so sometimes depending on the theme. I know, like example, like in Best Friends, there's the one about drugs that we're trying to put in. Just because we're not really trying to focus on like um, that was just an episode that talked about drugs and stuff like that. But I know we try to put themes into our films, where in the sense that it's subtle, but it's there. Even dealing with parents, like sometimes you'll have an issue with your parents, or lies, or So we try to put in vices that young people experience and go through. Even having friendships, relationships, basically, I think like that's like the most common. So we try to present how the possible ways this could come up and the possible options you could have. So we'll have the characters, various characters go through different type of relationship issues and how each of them solve them differently and the outcome. And I have had stories where people have tried to apply some of the things we've suggested through our films in their lives, and it worked out for them. Or they realize that, oh, the point where you said, like sometimes talking to your mom about things, it might not really come out, it might come out the way you least expected, in the sense that she actually responds positively to whatever it is you talked about, as opposed to feeling like, my Nigerian parents, now, if I tell them this, they'll beat me or they'll ground me or this and that. So we have had situations where people did try the approach of talking to them and just trying to like make them understand. And it did work for them, where in the sense that they were like, oh, if not for you guys, my mom and I probably will be talking by now, but now we speak a lot, and I'm open with her.
Yeah.
So we've had situations where people have applied some of the stuff we talked about in our show, and it had a positive impact on their lives, because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want people to be able to take these subtle messages and apply them in their lives without it being so glaring and like obvious that, okay, we're talking about drugs, do not do drugs. No, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to just make it like very subtle in your life, because in life, it doesn't really, rarely does it come at you like blaring and obviously. It's always very little subtle. Sometimes you don't even know it's happening. So that's something we try to do in our films, just present it the way life presents it sometimes. And obviously, you can't always tell the outcome, but majority of the times, it's a certain way. So that's what we try to do. Yeah. So yeah, there are messages in each episode actually has a message. I don't think there's any Best Friends episode that does not have a story, like does not have a message at the end. I think probably like even the last episode of the show did have a lesson where it was like, life is, and like, so we try to do that, sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not, until maybe you go back and watch it again and then you're like, oh, this is great, So yeah, that's what we try to do. Try to teach people lessons, but without making it like, very obvious. Do not do this, do not do that, because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned that, even from Triple J Plus to when you started Neptune3 Studios, your parents have been supportive. There are a lot of other young people trying to make a decision on what to do with their life, and they have dreams, sometimes maybe in entertainment and all that. But it's always tricky talking to Nigerian parents about, going after their dreams in the entertainment space. What advice do you have for those people?
Okay, especially it depends on where the person is in their life. So if we're talking about like a high school kid who wants to do entertainment, but my parents don't think it's a career or don't want me to be honest, you have to listen to your parents. I mean, the ones literally taking care of you. If they don't understand at the moment that this is your dream or this is what you want to do, you're just going to have to do what they want for the moment because they are the ones taking care of you. But if you're independent enough in the sense that you can take care of yourself, even if for some reason they cut you off, um, which I don't think, sometimes it's not that extreme, sometimes it is that extreme, but where you can talk to them and just kind of, that's what I was also talking about, how like, Nigerian parents, there's some things we don't even want to talk to them about because we feel they'll just say, oh, rubbish is that, or no, that's my career, or don't even talk about it, that kind of thing. So in that situation, you would just have to obey them and, just go along with your life. Once in a while, though, do still speak about what it is you want, like you're doing. Like, mommy, I know you've said, or daddy, I know you've said no to this before, but see, you come up to them with points, give them reasons, reason with them basically. Don't whine and cry and say, oh, I told my mom I should not listen. How did you tell her? How did you present it? What did you talk about? What were your points? Because I feel like with parents, they always feel like they're the adults and the kids don't know what they want. But imagine, okay, like now example, when I wanted to go to film school, I didn't just say, oh, I want to go to film school and stand up, I'll go. No, I had to give them my points. I had to give them my plan. I had to tell them what I had planned so far. And once they saw that, oh, this girl knows what she's doing, like she has this plan and this is what she's doing, okay. Yeah, because I mean, going to live in a totally different country by yourself at 18, not most parents will allow that, and to do entertainment, like,
Yeah.
it's not every parent that will just stand up. Even my parents, as much as they support us and everything, they're not irresponsible. So it's like, okay, you want to go to the US? How do you intend to live? What will you do? Like, how will you, make that a career and stuff like that? And I gave them my plan. I said, okay, well, my school is in this. I'm going to get an apartment here close to the school. And I don't have a car. So I'll take an apartment that's close to school. That way I can walk, my classes. So basically, I gave them a breakdown of what I wanted to do, told them my plan. And then they talked it over. We talked. So we kept talking back and forth. How you do this? How you do that? I said, oh, I have this. I have that, And once they saw that, okay, I knew what I was doing. I knew enough about what I wanted to do on my plan. It was kind of easy for them. So whatever concerns they had, we discussed them and I told them, okay, well, I feel this is how I can relieve that concern, or what do you people think regarding this concern? What do you think I should do? So basically we reasoned, and I didn't stay and cry and say, I just want to go to film school. Like, it's what I want. Nah, like, I mean, you'll be tempted to say that, but you have to, because once they just see you've not still grown, it will be so easy for them to say, my friend, go and sit down because you don't know what you're talking about. But when you reason with them, so that's why I say, if you're not up to the age of being able to take care of yourself independently, you have to find ways to reason with your parents. And if upon all the reasoning they don't still agree, you just have to continue doing whatever it is they support you doing until you're able to now break free and do your own thing. That's the best, most peaceful advice I can give.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's currently your favorite Nollywood film?
I don't have any at this point.
Okay, what would you like to see more of in Nigerian films?
Honestly, less comedy and more scripted films. I say scripted in the sense that where you let the scriptwriter dictate how the story goes. Less changes from the directors in the sense like that story wise. I feel like the major issue honestly is story. Like the story is always like an issue. And I just want to see an improvement in that, in the sense that we're real in our storytelling. I know most times we're tempted to want to put American elements in our films because you want it to be widely accepted, but let's be real. Does it fit the story? Does that element go with the story you're trying to tell? It's not just about the audience at that point. Does it go well with the story? In the world of that story you're telling, does that thing make sense? Doesn't you get what I mean? Because I know sometimes like a film is going so well and then out of nowhere, the character will do something that's so obvious, like it doesn't even, and it so easily throws me out of the story because I'm just like freeze. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
So I think that's just an improvement on that in that sense. Yeah.
Where do you draw your inspiration from?
Parents, things around me, my sisters, films I watch, books I read. Yes, situations I've been in, seen, heard of. Basically anything audio visual. Yeah.
What next for Neptune3 Studios? What are you guys working on?
We have a few. We're not really doing a lot this year in the sense of trying to recover from the last 4 years of Best Friends in the World. But we're working on 2 big productions and one YouTube production for the year. So far, as for this festival. Yeah, that's all I can tell at this point.
So how can people keep up with your work, and where can they find you?
Yes, we have a website, Neptune3Studios.com. We also have our social media, Neptune3 Studios on all platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then our personal pages as well, our usernames. But they're all on Neptune3 Studios for anything production related. Our auditions are held, we post them on our pages. If it's not on our official page, it's not legit. That's something I have to stress. If we do not post about it, it is not real. And we will never, ever, ever ask for payments for an audition or payments to enter any of our films. We don't do that. So if you've ever had to or heard of a payment, anything, that's not real.
Thanks, Jemima, for coming on the Naija Filmmaker.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
We have come to the end of this episode. Remember to rate and review the podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Selegov Film, and the podcast at the Naija Film Pod to share your feedback. You can now support the podcast by visiting the website to donate. See you on the next episode. Have a good one.